Good evening and welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or one of the 50% of the people watching this that have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it is live, and if you would like to join the debate, there is a link in the info box below this video. With the page you are currently listening to on mute, simply click on that link to join the debate and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. However, you will be warmly welcome back on the next stream, so please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. With that, I'm going to transition across to the debate, as we already have Truth Seeker with us, and encourage anybody who is currently watching in the live stream to please share the show on social media. As I've already done so, I'm going to say my introductions to Truth Seeker. How are you doing?
Doing well, Nathan. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good. No complaints. You've got the mic, my friend, for the first time ever, so you feel free to take advantage of that.
Yeah, of course. And actually, that's just perfect timing because yesterday I was making some very simple points about the other side of the debate, and I got kind of sniped. And I didn't get sniped, but Hank Hill kind of joined in and just started talking over me, and we were in the middle of I thought, a pretty respectful conversation. So real quick, I was just pointing out that the Globe defenders always get their panties in a bunch about gish galloping, which for those that don't know is basically more or less what they call bringing in more than one piece of evidence at a time. Now, I understand they love to always bring up courts of law, and that's how attorneys operate. Well, that's how attorneys operate. But we all know the criminal system is basically used for the smart ones to get away with a lot of bad stuff. And they do that through that gish galloping, crying. So really, all I wanted to show is that all these people that are defending the Globe, anytime we bring up full context, they just get so upset. And they say, well, hold on, that's not fair. Hold on, let's one thing at a time. We can't use full context. But I thought, bringing up the detective analogy was actually pretty. We all know a detective trying to figure out a crime would use full context. He would love people gish galloping because he's going to try to gather as much information and discern the truth. So I just thought that was kind of good to point out that they didn't have really any qualities of an objective truth discerner.
Fair enough.
That's something that just gets easily kind of brushed over because if we're having a debate, we really kind of need, we need both sides to play by the same rules. And, I'm not saying we can control both sides, but people should be more, aware that some of these people are, they're not having pure objective intentions.
Been joined by I am Rick. How do you say your name? Is it Imric or I am Rick? We've also been joined by David. I'll just get a hello from Imric first. Is it Imric?
No, it's just was something else and I shortened it.
Okay, I'm Rick. Good to have you here. And also David. How you doing, David?
How y'all doing?
Not too bad. Mighty fine. Pretty good. Very pleased to have you here.
Yes, sir.
David, great to talk to you.
Yes, sir. How y'all doing? I'm glad to see the flat earthers are in here for a change at first up to bat. That's good. I guess we run them ballers out of here.
Well, David, I'm a big supporter, but I don't think you would call me a flat earther.
Well, I understand that. Everybody's got to have their own opinion, but we are. What is it? It's 3-1 right now, so we still have it going on.
I don't want to fight anybody. I just like to hear you talk. I don't want people talking over you.
Yeah, Rick? What are your thoughts on the current state of the Earth?
I'll pretty much go by what the majority of people have. I believe all NASA. I believe science.
Who determines the majority? Because we all kind of know mainstream media. Let's just go look at a recent example. They all projected Hillary Clinton by a landslide. Oh, and then you go look. Kind of their projections didn't match reality. So you sure they're not, you're not over assuming your numbers there?
What you got to remember is math works on a
I
flat plane as it does on a ball. It's all the same.
agree, David. But I think if you were to poll everyone, at least in the United States, they would say that they think the Earth.
Can you try and keep yourself on mute, Truth Seeker, when you're not? It's just you've got a lot of wind noise. Perfect timing. We've also been joined by Curved Water. Very pleased to have you here, Curved. Good to see you.
Hey up, everyone.
Very pleased to have you here.
It got cold over here in Dallas. I just went ahead and took off a little early today, so I guess I'll get in here and Flat Earthers are going to win another debate today.
Well, I bring it back to the the consensus. I've heard for years in this flat Earth discussion, oh, it's going nowhere. We know the flat Earth. You guys just keep making jokes yourself. It's not growing, but you keep looking up Google search terms. It's hit its recent all-time high. So there's not going nowhere. It's growing.
But like Emmerich's saying, you got all these masses of people. There's millions, 300+ million people just in the United States, and we've got 1,000 people on here that think the Earth is flat. But you know how it is. But yeah, but like he says, we are changing a lot of minds. I think there's a lot of people waking up to some facts that aren't being told.
David, I just wanted to tell you, I'm from Texas also. I'm a couple of 100 miles south of you.
Yeah, my dad lives down there in San Antonio, so yeah, I know all about that. Are you south or north of me?
Sorry to interrupt, guys. We've been joined by Lewis Hackett. Very pleased to have you here, Lewis.
Oh, not
Thank
Lewis.
you.
Lewis, you got a job.
He delivers food. Stop asking.
I don't deliver food anymore, but that's all right. You can stop asking anyway.
David, I live near Huntsville, Texas.
Okay, yeah, down 45.
You guys sound exactly alike. It is hilarious.
Hey, we are from Texas. We want to tell you about it.
That's one of the reasons I came on and tried to be on with David so I could prove. They keep claiming I'm David. I'm not David. I really enjoy David, and I really enjoy Nathan doing this and having some fun with this. I mean
neither
that.
of you can prove that you're not Hank Hill.
Well, now we gotta get.
We wouldn't be on here if we were Hank Hill. We'd be riding around our tour bus then.
Oh my God.
That's what Willie's still doing. Willie's still traveling his tour bus.
Willie.
Mm-hmm. He's about 87, 88 years old now.
Yep. And he's a nice supporter of
Willie
psilocybin
Nelson?
mushrooms.
I think
What-
today maybe we should talk about the nature of light.
The nature
How
of light.
the Earth is flat. We can talk about that. Go ahead.
How lasers don't curve and contractors use lasers, in huge projects that extend for miles. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
if
think
we
lasers
come
are
to-
subject to refraction? Interesting.
If we come to an agreement on the nature of light and how it moves, if it moves, depending on your position.
How about how
I
mountaintops don't change elevation when you're going from mountaintop to mountaintop? You can measure them to sea level for 500 miles or whatever.
That's right. Pay attention.
Yeah,
To that.
it would help all of that. Virtually every observation that we disagree upon kind of does come back to our understanding of light. So if we could stick to that topic.
Yeah, you need to turn
So
on.
do we
light.
have any firsthand experience with, researching light or the recovery of light, or are we just going to start reciting out of a textbook?
Well, we could just start saying what we think about light. If it moves in straight lines, does it move?
Man, it depends on how many watts
It
you
moves
got.
real
That's all you
quick.
got to worry about is how much power you're sticking to it. Okay. They got LED lights now, but all you have to do to get. What's the brightest light you ever heard of? How many watts?
The sun. The sun.
No, how many watts has a human man made? The biggest light bulb you ever seen?
shoot, the biggest one that comes to memory, I don't know the wattage, but you know the skylights that they swing around and you can see them for miles away.
Have you ever seen one as big as a car?
Yeah, I have. I have no idea what the wattage is.
A light bulb as big as a car. You've seen one of them?
Maybe a lighthouse,
they're
David. This is the biggest one I've seen. A lighthouse.
No, lighthouses aren't as. They don't put out as many lumens as these skylight things I'm talking about.
How far can you see the farthest light for, Lewis? How many miles can you see a lighthouse? What's the farthest you can see it?
Depends on how tall the lighthouse is and where you're observing it from.
Yeah, but how many miles? I don't care how tall or what's the world record?
World record's probably around 50 miles, I would guess.
Maybe we need to do a world record light test to see if you can see a light for the farthest. Do something like that.
That's such an. I mean, it's a very unimpressive test to do. Like, so
sure
boring.
If you see,
it would debunk curvature. It would debunk curvature pretty simply.
Well, I mean, the fact that you can't see indefinitely, in my opinion, debunks the Earth being flat. Like, it demonstrates that it is curving because there's.
Where's the curve start at, Lewis? Where does it start at?
Well, it's constant all the time, but because we don't see from the ground level, like we're not on the ground all the time, our literal height.
How many miles do you have to go to get to the curve?
Yeah, where's that magical line where if you dip below?
Well, you're on the curve right now. There is no magical line. You're on the curve now. It's everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's like driving a car with one front wheel that's smaller than the other. You ever done that?
Yes.
It's not like
that's
that.
what a round world would be like. Riding with two different size tires on the front of your car.
I don't know.
I've done that. I've done that, David. I've had a little donut tires on my car.
Yep.
That's what I'm saying. That's what riding on a ball would be like. You'd have to have one little tire. It's like going around on a dirt track. You know how they got the high banks over there. You'd have to do it the opposite direction though.
Yeah, but what if the ball's really, really big?
Then
I've seen the cars with the shorter tires. The back and the front would have the shorter tires in the oval track. I've seen that, David.
But anyway, Lewis, where's the curve at?
It's everywhere.
How many miles you got to go from a straight line to see it curve?
Well, I mean, it's curving as you move, so you're never gonna.
No, don't get.
It's never gonna be like it seems like you think that there's that the curvature is a hill, but it's not a hill.
The water's always level, Lewis. We're talking about how far is water level.
No, water is always perpendicular to the force of gravity.
Sure it is.
Why don't we check
perpendicular
the level of a 100-foot swimming
curvature.
pool with some fishing line?
Well, if the force of gravity is curving, then it absolutely means it curves.
So does gravity make my laser curve?
Height.
So
gravity actually does
measure
make your gravity does make your laser curve, but not very much.
You can't measure the curve because the measuring tape is perpendicular to the gravity of the water, huh?
Well, see, yeah, that's different. It would be tangent. A measuring tape or a laser would be tangent to the force of gravity, which is what the water follows.
You could run a fishing line.
Where do you get off that? Where do you get off that tangent at?
Yeah, perpendicular applies level horizontal.
if you follow a tangent line from the surface of the Earth, it's gonna take you you'll be like 6 feet after 3 miles. You'll be 6 feet off the ground about.
Okay, well we need to see that light at 3 miles then, huh?
Well, I mean, that's what
they're seeing them at they're seeing them at 75 miles. So, how many feet of drop is that?
Yeah, it'd be much more dramatic.
How many feet of drop? If you're on a ball, how many feet of drop should it be at 100 miles?
12
Quite a
feet.
few.
12 feet.
12 feet.
12 feet.
100 miles, it's going to be, if you do the 8 inches per mile squared, which at over 100 miles you don't want to do because it stops being as accurate.
100 miles is still close. It's still close.
I'd like to see a light at 100 miles. But can you do
it?
Yeah, you could see a light at 100 miles. Absolutely. You can see a light at much further as long as it's in your line of sight.
Mm-hmm.
You can see a light from much further if it's bright enough.
You can see airplanes way out on the horizon that are up at cruising altitude on a clear night. You can see their little lights flashing, just their little tiny lights. Those lights aren't very bright.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for Lewis that David might be interested in. I have a question for Lewis.
Hit me.
If you're looking at the Earth, is there a top and a bottom, a up and a down?
No, there's no top and a bottom. Those are terms that are relative to you.
Oh, okay. All right. So the North Pole is not the top.
No, that's the North Pole.
Ding ding knockout. We don't even have people that have common sense over here. Okay, Lewis.
Arbitrary.
Come on.
Why would the North Pole be the top? It's a ball.
I just thought David would be interested in hearing your answer.
Yeah, I'm sure he would.
Yeah, we already know the answer to that. That's called a crazy answer. So we're not even going to hear that.
It's not crazy. It's the North
Man,
Pole.
if you're on a ball and it's spinning east to west, isn't it? So there's a top and the bottom.
Well, actually,
what if the top?
But
you said
just
there's no top and bottom.
I think something you guys
There
call the
isn't.
equator line.
There is no top and
equator
bottom.
line. What about the equator line? Isn't that
What
kind of
about it?
Those are
doesn't that
arbitrary
delineate-
lines in the
You
sand.
can't argue
Those are
with Lewis. You've
arbitrary.
already come up with some crazy story already.
Hold on. Equator is
It's
not
not
arbitrary.
crazy.
Doesn't it
Not
delineate
crazy.
two halves?
Equator is
This
not
is like-
arbitrary. That's
this
defined
is the
by
difference
location
between-
of the sun.
People who actually read the textbooks in school and people who just didn't want to because they thought it'd be cool to not pay attention.
Dude, that was the best 4 years of partying and drinking I ever had.
I know.
Yeah,
So I
shame
mean,
you didn't study.
you got out exactly what you put in.
Have you figured out
Which was
the
nothing.
Pythagorean theorem yet, Mr. Engineer?
I had it off the top of my head the other day, and you still
You got it
you still keep
wrong
living
off
in
What
the
is
the
top of
past.
your head.
What is it? What is
A
it?
squared plus B squared equals get wetty, C squared.
And what does that do for you? What can you do with that?
You know what that means?
What are you able
I
to do
can
with
use-
the
I
Pythagorean
can
theorem?
use it to triangulate my position to your mother's house.
Wrong. Wrong.
No, I
You can
definitely
use the
could use it.
Pythagorean. You can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure
Yeah,
out the length
and I
of
could
a side of a
definitely-
triangle if you have the length of one of the
Yeah,
sides.
so
and
I
then
can triangulate to your mother's
if you have
house.
the length of two sides, excuse me, then you can figure out the length of the other one. And then incorporating tangent, cosine, and sine functions, you can find out using just one side and two different angle measurements. You can use that to figure out the proportion of other sides and the other angles in the triangle.
That
Did you
would
ever
be-
do that in some sun rays?
That could be handy in
Sure,
engineering.
sure, yeah. I mean, that's exactly how we would figure out the distance celestial bodies are from us, for example.
But your model
How
says that all
does
light
that work?
coming in.
Proving we
Your
live on a
model,
ball.
hold on, David, hold on. Your model says all
It doesn't
light
help
coming
prove
in
that we live on a
must
ball, but
be
it does
so
help
What
prove
are we
Hold
talking
on.
about?
celestial
on.
objects. It helps us
Your-
prove the distance to celestial objects.
Your model claims that all light coming into this Earth must be so close to parallel that it's parallel. So where's
Well, I mean, that's because the sun is so much larger than we are. Like, you remember the marble, right?
Yeah, I just don't
the moon
see
and
how
the sun are the
parallel-
same size, or they wouldn't eclipse like that, Lewis.
I can't
No,
fathom.
their angular size is the same size. It's not the same thing, David.
I can't fathom
How do you know
mechanism
that?
where parallel light creates
Because I can
hotspots
see
and then
them.
perspicular
They're
rays.
clearly, David. They clearly are the same angular size.
Exactly.
Right. That doesn't mean they're the same literal size.
So how
do you know?
How does light all of the same exact
Because
parallel
of
angle
trigonometry, you
create
figure out the
hotspots
ratio of sides. The
and
ratio.
diverging perspicular rays? It doesn't make any sense.
This question, yeah. I
Did
thought
you
it was
just
gonna
say?
be
Did you just say crepuscular rays and anti-crepuscular rays don't make any sense?
No, I said the fact that parallel light is making that phenomenon makes no sense.
He thinks
Why?
the sun's right above
Why does that make
hole
no
in the
sense?
clouds.
Because if all light is coming in at the exact same relative angle, then why is it converging onto hot spots and then different angles?
Because the surface of the Earth is curving.
Okay, so now tell me, how does the parallel light, like how does that parallel angle?
Well,
convert to a
imagine if you
hotspot
had
with that
imagine
angle?
if you had a flat imagine if you had a flat sheet and the light was curving. And the light was coming from multiple sources converging onto it. That would be because the source of the light was three-dimensional.
Has
Right.
NASA ever
But
released a
you get the
video?
same effect. You get the same effect if you're shining onto a three-dimensional object with parallel
Okay.
light.
I'll give you that, but is there any calculation or formula to show that this parallel light will converge into hotspots as we witness every day in the ocean?
Sure, but it happens everywhere. That's the thing. It's about where the observer is. That hotspot's location is a function of the observer.
Yeah, I agree.
That
There. I'm just
hotspot
saying,
exists everywhere. The hotspot exists everywhere. Just like
I'm
a rainbow.
actually asking, is there an equation?
Everywhere. Yeah, sure. There's an equation. I don't know it though.
Oh, he dropped.
I said sure. There's an equation. I don't know it though.
Okay, I'll need to look into that. Thank you.
Has NASA ever released a video of them going up in a spaceship
I know you don't
and putting a video on the sun?
You wouldn't
You ever
anyway.
seen that, Lewis?
I'm sorry, what?
Have you ever seen NASA release footage of a spaceship in outer space filming the sun?
Yes.
Sure. It's not something that is particularly interesting, although yeah, I would wish that they would do it more often with better cameras and stuff. But at the same time, if I remember, NASA is a branch of the military. If I were in charge of that, I would not make public any of the findings they made in space, except the most mundane, trivial ones that had zero impact and usefulness.
Why is that? You don't trust people's own discernment, or why?
No, I don't trust the other countries.
This whole thing's a cover up. Why you tell them stories, Lewis?
There are multiple
about other countries
that you
it's
can
about
watch.
the other countries.
I would think if other countries were really enemies, they would expose the Federal Reserve.
Why would they tell you? Why would they tell you?
No, they
are
our enemies. You have
no,
to.
They're definitely not enemies.
Are you just discounting? Are you discounting all of history?
No, I'm just actually saying if you look at the way that each country's
only a fool trusts everyone. Only a fool trusts everyone.
They don't treat each other as enemies. They don't expose each other's financial Federal Reserve banking schemes. They don't. They just play weak facade.
Why would that be to their interest to do?
Because if they were actually enemies,
everything is cloak and dagger. Everything is cloak and dagger. It's an iron fist and a velvet glove.
System that controls their entire population might actually be effective.
You are oversimplifying the affairs of the world. Talking about fake
nuclear bombs. That's come on. That's so 1940.
I mean, I didn't bring those up. You're just trying to trigger me with that at this point.
No, I'm not trying to trigger anybody. I'm just actually showing that.
Yeah, you are. Do you actually believe that nukes aren't real? Do you really believe nukes?
You just need to accept your propaganda and take a nap, okay?
I actually
believe propaganda.
You need to get a propaganda pillow. We'll send Lewis a propaganda pillow and he can hug up to it.
If you actually look at the way each country treats itself, then clearly they're not enemies.
Yeah, we are, and you would be a fool to think that everyone trusts each other. Nobody.
I don't think everyone trusts each other, but I do see the way they behave.
Right. So why do you
expose any secrets?
Lewis will just keep on rattling. You know that. He's already told us he don't even know up from down. So go ahead.
They're just like politicians.
No.
Both Republican and
I know up from down, but in relative to the ball, there is no up and down on a ball. Relative to us, there is an up and down on the ball.
Well, it depends
down is towards the ball, up is away from the ball.
Won't let me and you talk. David would like to keep this to a flat Earth debate.
Well, you can talk all you want. You've actually been talking over me quite a lot immediately after asking me questions as well.
We've been joined by Pete Shea. Very pleased to have you here, Pete.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan.
Good
How you doing, everyone?
Welcome, Pete.
Eleanor.
Where's your map at, Lewis?
Which one?
Map of the world over there.
I got one on my phone. Which do you want to see?
Yeah, sure you do.
Let's see your paper Show us the one where the curvature has, where it's marked with curvature. We can see where it begins.
None of the maps that are useful have curvature on them because we don't exist on that curve to a degree that would be useful.
You said that it's always there, though.
Yeah, it is always there. It's technically always there.
It's a thing that's always there, but we never
in my experience, like, I have flat feet.
It's always there, but we never see or measure it.
Well, no, we absolutely do. There are people with entire fields of study dedicated to it. I don't know why you keep saying
that.
Lewis already told you he wouldn't tell you if he knew. Did he? That's what he just got done telling you.
No, David, that's not what I said. I said said, David, stop shoveling garbage into my mouth. I didn't say that. I said that if I was in charge of the military, which NASA is a part of, I would not release anything but the most menial things.
There is all kinds of video of the sun available every day from satellites in space filming the sun.
I think Pure came in and sniped a few people, did he? Oh goodness.
No, I don't think you can snipe people that quick, but I mean, I hope they come back in. But yeah, I did not say that. I was saying if I was in charge of the military, I would not release information. I would be doing a tremendous number of things in secret as well.
If Lewis, right? Can I ask you,
of course, yeah.
what coordinate system is used for local ordnance maps and charts?
I don't know.
Okay. I think you'll find that when it comes to spherical coordinate system, it's only international. It's only in a global.
Right. I mean, why would you expect them to use a spherical one on a piece of land that is virtually flat locally? All of the things that humans do on the ground are local.
Is America flat locally, Lewis?
The states are, absolutely.
But hang on.
I mean, if you wanted to launch a ballistic missile across, then you might have to take into account the curvature of the Earth. But I mean, America is just big enough that you might want to start doing that. But it's not like locally every decision a human ever makes is going to be on a flat plane.
Yeah, so it's not ridiculous then to hold on a basic level that we live on a flat and stationary plane, because that's what our senses tell us, and that's all we can find locally. Right?
Well, if you don't know anything else and didn't get a modern education, then yes.
So all people without a modern education were lacking or retarded in some way?
No, they're not retarded. They just don't have access to that information, and they'd have to figure it out on themselves, which, by the way, I think a lot of people would do all on their own. I think they would observe the sun and moon and how they move and their cyclical patterns, and see the sunrise and sunset, and their observations with how other things move in relation to the horizon would be very telling to them, and I think they would arrive at the conclusion that the Earth is round.
You think they would? Okay. That's good.
Yes. Especially if they had some way of navigating oceans.
But basically you're saying that the flat Earth movement, if you will, has some foundation, because anybody or anything, anyone can go
the only foundation it has is if you're a person who is confined to live in one place your entire life.
Well, I've traveled across America, Lewis, in a plane, and to my experience, that's off the ground, right? Everything was flat all the way across.
Yeah, but you could see further. You could see further up in the plane than you could when you're on the ground, right?
Yeah, so I went up to a certain height, and I still see flat everywhere. So how far do I have to go up?
You're not seeing flat. You're seeing over more curve. You're seeing over more curve. So if you put your face right next to a basketball, you can only see a tiny amount of the basketball. But the further you put it away, the more of it you can see.
Get out the basketball here, Lewis. I can't think of which drawer it's in now. But again, yeah, so that's all
did they really get sniped?
Mental in one sense. So you're exploring a kind with my senses. I experience flatness, right? When we send up the high altitude balloons, you experience flatness. If it's not flat, and if there's a grander scale, that's fair enough. But how high do you have to go up to?
We can go over the high altitude balloon footage, and there's obvious curvature on those.
Well, you have to sort of, in a true scientific sense, you have to take all of the evidence into account. And if
oh, you mean the GoPros too? You got to look at the GoPro lenses too.
Yes, you do.
The ones that completely obscure the curvature because of how they're just uniquely positioned to make it warp up.
Well, I mean, have you looked at some of the footage?
What you're talking about is all of the evidence, because that's garbage evidence, and I just explained to you before seeing it what's wrong with it.
We didn't do these things ourselves, right? So you have to examine each piece on its own sort of particular merits. Right?
Not really. As long as you have, a base level of trust in your fellow humans and the workings of technology, then you don't have to do it yourself.
And if you were in the government, you wouldn't tell the people nothing, right?
Well, I mean, the government isn't the one designing rectilinear lenses or GoPro lenses. That's private. That's private companies doing that. The military is a entirely different story.
Well, a base level of trust between you and your employees, Lewis, is that they do what you say. They work for you, right? So the government works for
and
us.
if they don't, I can tell. I'll be able to tell that they're not doing it. And
Well,
the biggest abuse that you're going to find in employees is them shirking their responsibilities, and one or two of the employees end up doing 90% of the work. That's the type of abuse you're going to get. So it's not going to be something that a manager might necessarily notice unless that manager is micromanaging.
right.
Super chat.
Huh.
Hit
Well-
that super chat. Good job, David.
Massive shout out to David. Gets sniped and then sticks $5 in the super chat. Thank you very much, David.
I mean, I'm marginally enjoying this conversation, Pete. I would like to request that Nathan take down the video that he published about me, where I read Anthony Riley's comment and then said nothing. I did that with, I didn't see it coming to be slanderous in the way that it was. Of course, Nathan, you're free to do as you like because it's your content.
Are you serious?
Yeah,
It was absolutely unedited.
I know it was unedited.
No sound effects edited. Nothing. It was literally as
The
raw
title
as
of
it could be.
The title of it. And other people
the
have since
title-
then taken the video and put their own context to
The
it.
title was literally the words you spoke, word for word,
I know.
verbatim. How can you possibly have
I
any
know.
issue with this?
Because the context that's now been brought to it. Aside from the
you've said it
debate.
again.
And
Context.
I mean,
There is no
later
context.
on in the debate, I
Do you
brought
know
up
what the words?
trigonometry.
Do you know what verbatim
And
means?
since then-
Verbatim.
Yes, I know
Right.
it. I know what verbatim means.
So there's no
And
context change.
If you're
Nothing.
not going to take it
No
down,
editing. No context
Nathan,
change.
if you're not going to take it down, then just say you're not going to take it down, and that's there's
But
nothing
I'm
I can do about
bewildered
that.
as to why. It's raw as it comes, unedited, no
Because
sound effects edited,
people
and is
having
literally
fun. It's
using
people making fun
verbatim
of
the
me
words
at
you
my
said.
expense. It's people making fun of me at my expense.
It's not.
That's why I don't like it.
It's not
Yes, it
making
is.
fun of you. It is edited in
It
zero
absolutely
edits.
is. If you read the comments, you know exactly what I mean. It's been recontextualized out of the entire debate. And the reason I said it was because I thought Anthony's comment was too stupid to answer. I thought it was stupid enough to read and make fun of by reading. You think it's all right to just play it. It's because you think what I said was stupid.
Sure. I mean, I'll give you my wife's opinion is don't be a dumbass and not answer. Next time, answer.
Well, the answer is trigonometry. There you go, everyone.
Well, that would have been wonderful if you'd have said it then, but, you know, you've had loads of time to research
I know,
now,
but I've
so
said it
you've had
so
plenty of
many
time to look it
times,
up.
You know, I've said it so many times. Like, that's that.
Did you
And
slip
your
up?
wife's criticism is absolutely fair as well. I just thought I would go ahead and ask. Put the request in.
Right, okay. I mean, in the entire time I've been on YouTube, I've been through a court case to fight people to stop them from taking my videos down. Did you know that, Lewis? Literally, I've been through court to stop people.
You have complete right
You have.
over that
Just,
video.
you
I
keep
I
talking
wouldn't
over me,
contest
Lewis.
that at all.
You're really rude. Right, I just tell you this so you know. You have absolutely zero chance of getting me to take a video down, ever. The same applies to everybody.
That's why I just asked. I just asked. That's it. I
entitled to ask.
know that I have no, like,
And
I
my
have
answer's
no,
no.
authority over it.
I know you don't.
Authority.
The answer's
over it.
no.
That's why I asked.
Thank you for asking.
No, then, right? Hi, Eleanor. That's a no then, Lewis, I take it.
Oh, of
I
course.
don't know what you're...
He would have
know
said
what you're
yes
talking
if it. He would have said yes if it was a yes.
The reason I
Right.
did it, Lewis, is because, to be perfectly honest, I wanted to take you down a peg. Because when you've got people like David on the
you have
panel,
the right to do it.
when you've got people like David on the panel and you talk to them in a redneck hick accent when you're replying to them, it's just rude.
Oh, that's just the stupid voice I use. I'm not trying to sound a particular way. That's just it's just the stupid voice I use.
Been joined by Sniper. Very
Sniper?
pleased to have you here, Sniper.
Oh no. I have a feeling I'm about to get destroyed.
We shall see. You gonna say hello,
No, this
Sniper?
is just Truth Seeker since I got banned. From
good screen name.
Oh. Who did somebody really kick you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Pure Anarchy came in, and then me and Dave we got booted.
Yeah, Pure Anarchy did.
Sniper.
Or at least somebody
Well,
going by the
I
name
mean-
Pure Anarchy.
Thank God Google gives these things out like candy.
I mean, you have to have multiple email addresses, so it's not
No, you
quite
don't.
like candy.
Well, thank God they give those out like candy too.
Well, I mean, that means you're technically committing fraud, but
And you like candy.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
tell anybody,
It's
please.
not a big deal. Just whatever.
Are you embarrassed by something, Lewis, that you'd rather people in general?
Oh no, I was just waiting for the conversation to pick back up where we left off.
All right, well, we got it. So where we left off was we were seeing if real states were enemies, they would expose their deepest, darkest secrets. And we don't see that. We see kind of like a little chess game where they act like they're enemies, but they're not really enemies.
Well, the minimum amount of force required to get something done is usually the proper amount of force. So why would they do that? Why would they go straight for
I
the
would
jugular?
expect, if Russia wanted to mess with the United States, which is so, prevalently claimed, these days.
Well, then if Russia did that, then they would have all the other countries jumping at their throat immediately because they are dependent on the United States for a great many things. And if the United States went after Russia's jugular in the same way, we would have problems from all other countries as well.
I see a whole bunch
So
of countries
it's
look
not
at their
as simple.
control.
It's not that simple.
It is
Sniper,
actually very
or-
simple because go look into
it's
every
not.
country's Federal Reserve banking system. Go look up
It's
the
highly
IMF. They all-
complicated. It's like you're in a
Everybody
room.
knows the nation's most powerful tool is money creation, and most countries don't even have the control over their own money. I mean, this is a joke. They're all friends.
Been joined
there
by
are
Epistemology
friends.
for Truth. Pleased to have you here, Epistemology.
I mean,
Every government,
that's another.
every government
that's a-
worldwide are engaged in treason against their people. Every government.
I understand that, but
There-
everybody
yeah,
knows
sure,
a
but
nation's most
there's-
powerful
There's
tool.
massive complications going on here. So my point is that just doing the boldest, most integrity-filled thing, even though it is obviously the right move from a stance of integrity on a large scale, is not going to help everyone. It will hurt.
Okay, but if you follow the money from Russia to China to America to Canada to
Yep,
Mexico,
I understand that.
they all don't even have power. They can't even print their own money. These they're not governments anymore. They're all being controlled by a banking cartel.
Yeah.
It's clear.
No, they're
They
not
play
being
fake
controlled
enemies.
that way.
The money
They
The
too.
banks
play
are not
fake
controlling.
enemies. Yeah, it's very
The banks
clear
are
as
not
day. They don't
controlling in that
expose
manner.
anything.
Who are all the
The
countries
gov-
in
I
debt
think it's
to?
more likely. I think it's more likely that the governments use banks to control things. The banks are not controlling
No,
governments.
go look up what countries have say over their private central banks. Even America doesn't. Congress doesn't. The president doesn't. Nobody does.
Yeah.
These people
The
are
Bank of
controlling
Ireland-
everything.
Ireland.
In the same way that a family structure is propped up by the people who compose the family, so are
The only
countries.
thing in the Federal Reserve that's even appointed is the people. The president does appoint them, but it's from a pre-approved board of governors that the Federal Reserve gives the president. It's a joke.
Yeah, and those people are mortal too, and they die. So we're all in this together. I don't understand how you're
Yeah,
coming
but what I'm
off
trying to say is
condemning
they're-
people on such
Okay,
a
where I'm coming
scale.
off, I'm showing that it's a bunch of sociopaths playing fake enemies when really they're all sleeping in the same gold beds together.
I'm curious.
No,
what
there
this-
are simply.
Well, of course.
I'm curious to know what this big secret about the Federal Reserve that the other countries aren't revealing.
Right.
Oh, they all operate in fraud. I could tell you. Do you sign documents in all capitalized names? Do you sign your documents using all capital letters?
Oh my God.
Okay,
Yep,
you're gonna
that's
go.
it.
You're gonna go down this.
No, it's actually correct. If you go look up the 1933 Repeal Act, they replaced all actual money with legal tenders. So none of us have money. We just have legal tenders. They draw the value of this legal tender through credit. That is a surety. It's our
Yeah.
our basically bodies are the surety for this credit.
Yeah.
So we're the
I noticed
creditors. They are
When
the
has that
debtors.
ever not been the case? When has that ever not been the
Since
case?
before 1933, when real money was still in the system.
Oh,
That
so
wasn't the case.
back then, before we wrote it down on paper, the value of our money was coming from what?
it was still derived. It's still belief. I'm not saying it's not
Oh, it
belief,
was
but it's
derived
Here's,
from
here's,
value
here's the
that
thing: when you have someone that doesn't know anything about economics trying to tell you why fiat currency is bad, right? So basically, he's talking about the abandonment of the gold standard in 1933.
No, hold on. Don't put words in my mouth. What I'm actually referring to is the 1933 Repeal Act, where it states that we are the creditors and the financial
always were.
institutions are
we
the
always
debtors,
were.
and they are
We
the
always
debtors.
were. We've always
Exactly.
been that
So
way.
we are
It's
being
never
treated
not
as if
been
we're
that
the
way.
debtors Yes, but no, it's not that way now. They treat us as we're the debtors and they're the creditors, but they're paying us in our own damn credit. It's a fucking scam.
The money's value comes from us. That's it. It's that simple. It's never not being the case.
It's the confidence in the goods and services that the money represents.
Well, we're doing
services can only be produced by the countries.
America's in debt to the tune of
the question becomes, where do the banks derive their credit from? And they derive it from our blood and bond signatures on birth certificates. It's clear.
What else would they get it from except the humans? Like what are they gonna put it on the animals? They just gonna sign it magically
Louis,
for no work?
Quick, do you think
what are you expecting?
Louis, I'm asking.
Like you think that things should just be given to you for free.
Do you think you should work a job and get paid with your own value? That's all I'm asking.
No, you get paid for your value. You get physical representation.
So shout out to Shill Scanner, who says the only thing he asks is that I play the Lewis video you made and the pole dancing video made by our comedian eye. So big shout out to Shill Scanner. Thanks a million.
No, the value is derived from the free market and the fluctuations that naturally occur.
What is this free market trade? It trades bonds of people. It's a
it trades goods and services. It trades goods and services. One of those.
You know what a QSIP number? Louis, real quick.
One of those goods and services are bonds.
Do you know what a QSIP number is?
Please enlighten me.
Nice.
Okay, it's a what's that?
I said fire away. Enlighten him.
Okay, it's a number on like a trading instrument. So if someone's trading stocks and bonds, there'll be a QSIP number on the back. It's usually like printed in red or something. We all have one on every single. One.
That's just a unique identifier. That's just a unique identifier.
So they can trade our lives and worth. And I want to know why they get to access.
That's a good thing.
Well,
that is a good thing.
No, why do they get to access this wealth? And I'm sitting here working for pennies on the dollar, and then they have the.
They don't get. That's not where the wealth comes from. You don't understand.
They charge interest.
You don't understand. You don't
get it.
They're
charging interest for my own damn value.
You forget, Sniper, that Lewis is a Harryman.
That number allows you to participate in the system. If you don't want to participate in the system, you can walk into the wilderness and give it your own shot.
Hey, for over 30 years, I didn't know a QSIP number even existed. They let me go without it. So
that's how useless it is.
It seems like it's something they were trying to hide from us. Oops.
Not really. They have a public education system and then post-secondary education system, which you can go find out about all those things in.
So do they teach you when the judge reads, your all capitalized fictitious entity?
Is it our fault? Like whose fault is it that we are born ignorant of the world around us?
All of these courts and financial
whose fault is it that we are born without knowledge?
They are
whose fault is it?
Fraud. The people who burned the libraries.
Is it a fault to ourselves that we are born without knowing things? Because you seem to be thinking that it is.
It is the people's fault who concealed this information from our public records. This stuff used to be well known. All of the libraries have been burned. All of our history is a damn lie.
The pirates have encroached upon the land. And you see, Lewis, there's a distinction that you fail to recognize, but that's not surprising either.
No, Pete, you're an idiot. That's all this is. You don't know what you're talking about at all.
You are not.
You have zero faith in humanity. You want to be given things for free.
And on what basis?
For no work. You want to put nothing in and get something out. That's what you want.
And what am I getting out, Lewis? What do you think I'm getting out?
Ideally, you want to be getting out goods and services without having to have money. You don't want to be able to just go. You want everybody else to have jobs and you to be able to just go up and say, "Hey, give me the goods and services," because money is a burden and forces me to have to do things. But I want you to have to do things for me.
But you want the system that's in place now, even though
I love the system that's in place.
Works adequately.
I love it.
Of course you do. And every idea, every notion that you push is steeped in deception, man. As you are yourself.
It has the antidote for all of those problems built right into it. And that's what makes it the best thing so far.
Get rid of the fucking pirates, right?
Yeah, get rid of the pirates.
Wake the people up to distinction between the man and the legal name, right? And the fraud that has been perpetrated against
there is no distinction. There is no distinction. One is a one is a unique identifier to the other. That's it.
You're from the Harriman family, right? Pretty wealthy, well-known family around. So
you don't know what you're talking about, Pete. You don't know what you're talking about, Pete. Pete, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Right. Well, you seem to have every idea about me and my life, right?
No one swore, Pete or Nathan, as far as I know.
So real quick,
Joined
can you
by-
tell your name? If somebody reads it in all capital letters and all lowercase letters, does it sound any different to you?
Been joined by Flat Earth Subgenius. Pleased to have you here, Subgenius. You've got your watch page on.
Yeah, so this is actually a bigger fraud probably than Flat Earth. This is something that really does need to get addressed. All financial documents and legal documents, they're operating in fraud. And they're not trying to hide it because they capitalize your name all over any document.
Okay, so how does having your name capitalized equate to fraud exactly?
Hey, okay, I'll explain to you.
Yours.
If a police officer misspells your name on a search warrant, is it valid? Answer me.
That I'm not 100% sure on.
Okay, well, I know many people that have gotten off cases where the cops have found evidence, but oops, there was.
But I can tell you for a fact
they forgot to cross the I and dot the I and cross the T in their paperwork, and everything is invalid. This is how really bad people get away doing really bad things in court. So using their same precedents, we know if there's any kind of fraudulent, if you signed an application and you didn't sign in all capital letters, the grammar is very specific in this legalese. And if any kind of grammar has been changed, it's fraud.
So if that under that assumption, that means if I get a ticket and my name is misspelled, then my ticket is not valid any longer. If the cop misspells my name on the ticket, is that ticket
if you have a cop,
valid?
if you have a cop that's actually following common law and not admiralty law, where they just get to make up the law as they go along.
Okay.
Yes,
do you even know what common law is? Do you know the difference between common law and statutory law?
Not textbook definition.
Why don't you
difference,
explain
I know roughly.
Okay, what's common law compared to statutory law?
Common law is the law given by God or assumed to be given by God. It's basically
that's not in any kind of a law textbook.
Okay, and I'm not the dude that got indoctrinated and learned.
But you're using these terms, but you really don't even understand what common law is.
Because the whole reason for
do you know what statutory? Because common law is contrasted by statutory law. What is statutory?
The whole reason for Black's Law Dictionary, so they can say the same word but mean different things and play.
So again, you're again speaking on a subject that you know nothing about, just like you speak about engineering, but you know nothing about mathematics.
I know. If a cop misspells a search warrant, it's invalid. End of story.
Yeah, and I'm not actually sure if that's even the case. Actually,
I'm 100% positive it's the case.
Yeah, it might even be dependent on the It might even be dependent on the state.
Mr. Expert, you knew everything else, but you don't know one of the most basic things about search warrants. It's kind of a joke.
Well, as long as it's identifying a person that a reasonable person can ascertain to be the same person, I imagine that it's still valid.
It is not. No, not unless you got the worst defense attorney in ever.
I'm actually going to try to find some case law on that because I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
Well, he thinks lasers don't curve and they don't diverge, apparently.
Yes.
Here we go. I found a posting where someone asked this on an attorney website. And it says a misspelled name on an arrest warrant will not result in the underlying charges being dismissed. Okay, this was an arrest warrant. Let's see.
Hashtag only Pete knows.
He's a moron. A moron just making stuff up. Nothing about that's true. It's just moronic. All that free.
Here's another attorney answer.
Here's what's
a mere misspelling of a name is not a fatal flaw on a legal document.
Yes, it is. And here's what's moronic.
No, it isn't.
When you see all these people talk about sovereign citizen and how much of a scam it is, here's the scam. The scam is we're going into admiralty law courts expecting them to follow common law. The whole
you don't even know what you're saying.
The courts and judges
you can't even define
to begin with. These courts and judges work for the banks. It's all a scam that's connected. It's all
He's
fraud.
making it up. He's just making that up. You can't show that anywhere. You're just making that up.
No, the bar is
Do you even know what admiralty law is? Admiralty law is maritime.
All that free man stuff is ridiculous.
I am not.
You are making it up. You can't show it.
The Bar Association is directly connected to the Bank of England. It is directly connected to the Bank of England. Every attorney must jump through their little hoops.
Yes. The Crown Corporation.
No, they don't.
Goes back to
no,
the
they
Vatican.
don't. I know many. I know many attorneys.
Notice how the ball
They
answers
don't
all
no
take
connection.
the same side.
So
Yeah,
it's clear. The
It's
courts,
ridiculous.
the judges, the
Every
attorneys,
issue.
the prosecutors, the police, they're
Something
all part of this
You're
fraud.
protecting
The
a system.
police,
That's
the
what they're doing.
prosecutors, the attorneys,
ridiculous.
the judges, the courts, they're all fraud.
That's all Imric has ever
Moronic.
to say. That's why don't you go back to talking about chickens, Imric?
I know more about this than chickens.
No, I would
Do you?
love.
So
No,
tell-
I would love for
tell
you
me
to
the-
keep continuing to live a life of
Tell me the distinction
servitude,
between
assuming
let's keep it simple.
responsibility
Sure.
for a fictitious corporation.
Sure.
Keep assuming
What's the
responsibility
distinction
for
between the
a
man and the
corporation.
legal name?
You're
Let's
assuming
go.
responsibility
I got about
for
five.
a fictitious entity. Come on.
Yeah,
Here
you're not
and
saying
now.
that.
Can you explain what admiralty law is for us, please?
Basically, whatever come out of the judge's mouth is the law of the land. You have no
Okay, no,
rights.
admiralty law is maritime law. Okay, it has to do with
Maritime law, the law of the sea.
shipping and
has encroached upon the land epistemology.
Yes,
this
and
is on
what
we
flag?
This is our inheritance.
represented
Forget about
in
the big
every
words.
court?
Forget about the years of study you have to do to understand any of these man-made systems. It's all rooted in fraud, and you know it well, as the rest of you know it as well. There's a distinction between the man and the legal name. You are not a sound. When your parents signed a birth certificate, they signed away the copyright use to that name. So when you use it, you're acting illegally. You're using the property of someone else, but it's convenient for them to let you do that. But you must realize you're either one of three things, right? You are either the legal vessel itself, right, which is the legal name. You are either the man using the legal vessel, or you have fuck all to do with the legal vessel.
So please explain to me, Pete.
Excuse my language.
Pete, can I say, oh, Pete's gone. Nathan, I'd like to speak on Pete Shea's behalf and say what maritime law is. Maritime law is the traditional body of rules and practices, particularly relating to commerce and navigation, to business transacted at sea or relating to navigation, ships, seamen, harbors, and general maritime affairs.
Yeah.
I can keep going. It is entirely distinct from the municipal law of the land. It is and always has been a body of law separate and distinctive from every other jurisprudence. The Constitution of the United States transferred this jurisprudence from the sovereignty of the states to that of the nation. The maritime law proper finds its expression now only in the national will. The national will. Interesting. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I'll have to look that up. Wow. It says sea admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So now I have to look up admiralty and maritime jurisdiction because I'm reading the official law dictionary, the third edition.
What did it say about distinct from law of the land? Something like that.
Yeah. It did say that. It's entirely distinct from the municipal law of the land. Sorry for my drunken slurs.
It has to do with when you're out at sea in navigatable waters. What are the laws that apply? Which is like essentially an international agreement as to what laws exist on the open sea.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What Sniper said, which was this: what comes out of a judge's mouth.
Sorry, I was trying to understand what the hell was going on here in this conversation. I just had to dip my 2 cents in.
Well, he was contrasting common law with admiralty law. The actual contrast for common law is like statutory law.
Okay. I'm going to mute myself. Yeah, cool.
And I could explain to you what common law is and how it differs from statutory law, but that's a discussion for another time. And at least it's a term I actually know and understand, unlike Truth, who doesn't understand the terms, but he still uses them. He can't even explain the most basic definition of what they are.
Yeah, I'm late to the conversation, so I was just trying to understand what everyone was yelling at each other for.
Oh, you did a great job. Appreciate what you read.
Well, I'm glad you understood it because I can barely pronounce some of the things there.
But his suggestion that you can just throw out a search warrant because there's a misspelling of the name or some minor thing to try to make the document invalid. I mean, that's the same type of arguments that they say, like when you get pulled over, just tell them that you're not driving a car, you're driving a horseless carriage, and yada yada yada. The same nonsense. I'm not driving. I'm traveling. I'm not driving a car. I'm traveling in my horseless carriage.
Yeah. distinct from the law of the land. What do you think about
And
that, Sniper?
I think it's funny. I think it's really funny.
He's not talking much. He's probably working on his Pythagorean theorem, which he originally said was if you know two angles of a triangle, you know you can figure out what the third is. That was his definition of Pythagorean theorem. Some engineer.
I think someone's just joined and then immediately dropped, so they're probably in the back chat about to snipe us. We shall see. If so, I'll just restart another hangout.
You want him gone?
Yeah, going by the silence, I think the show has actually been sniped, so I'm going to transition across to my photographs and just start a new hangout. Give me a couple of minutes, all of you in the chat.
Alrighty.
I know, you still here, Curved?
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm still here too, but it looks like he sniped Flat Earth Subgenius.
Okay, it seems like people don't want Flat Earthers on the show, because so far, 3 for 3, 3 Flat Earthers have been sniped out. But I am going to restart the hangout, it's only reasonable, you know. If it happens again, I will restart another one. But yeah, I'll stick the link in the chat. This show will continue to run live. It's only this only affects you guys on the panel. So yeah.
Okay.
This is an opportune moment for me to do a few links while we're waiting for the people to rejoin the panel. So there is a new hangout that has just been started, and I'll run through my links, and then hopefully by the time I'm finished we'll have a few new guests. Big shout out to those of you who've donated to the super chat, much obliged. Although I don't think I'll be taking payment to play some of the videos that have been suggested. With that, if you are new to this channel, or you are one of the 50% of the people watching this stream that have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, as Super Chat is my only means of taking any sort of donations, hit that Super Chat, and if you would like to join the panel to express your views on the shape of the Earth, click the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you click on that link to join the show. As Pete Shea found out, there are only a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. Number 2, if you do swear, please don't try to rejoin the show using sock accounts. you will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. If you've not done so already, please share this show on social media, so Facebook, Skype, Twitter, all of those good places. And I'll say once more, if you're new to the channel or one of the 50% of the people who've not done so already, please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. I will introduce our guests once they rejoin. I have spammed the chat and put it back in the info box, so if somebody could just check that link does work, I'd be very, very grateful. Now, I've been joined by David. How you doing, David? Good to have you back. Sorry you got sniped earlier. Oh, better turn you up. Sorry. There you go.
How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad at all. Can you just say another hello just to make sure I can hear you?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Perfect. Brilliant. Thank you. Good to have you here again.
Well, we see how it's going to be around here. Where the ballers at? Come on back in here.
Seems that the people don't want to hear the Flat Earth opinions, David. So far, it's only Flat Earthers that have been sniped out of these hangouts. Literally. Only... Oh, Christopher.
They can't handle the truth.
They're going to snipe you out already. He's got in and out before I could even get him. He'll be sniped immediately, David, so I'm so sorry. But yeah, they don't want to hear Flat Earthers. This is clearly the case. Very telling.
We're going to turn Curve into a flat earther here pretty quick.
That's not happening.
Unless this guy's going to prove me wrong and snipe Curved, but I doubt it.
You got somebody fixing to snipe somebody again?
It might not have been a sniper, because I did actually ask the audience to join the show just to check it works. So it could have been somebody that just joined to see if it was working okay. I will give the benefit of the doubt. Let's hope.
With all these debates, you've been keeping up with other stuff going on in Flat Earth or what? Nathan?
Sorry, I was reading Cathex's messages. Said, Nathan, you can snipe them. Yeah, if I can be quick enough on the mouse, I can snipe them out of the Hangout. But so that they can't snipe me out of the Hangout completely, I'm not in the back chat, as you guys call it, the Google Hangouts part of the social media side of it, because this is obviously Hangouts on Air, which is separate, but not separate. Hence, people can snipe by using that other piece of software. But I'm not in it, so you don't see me in this call if you're part of Google Hangouts, the social media section, which means that they can't snipe me out of the call. But if you've joined this call and, you know, Sniper New, is that Truth Seeker?
Yes, sir.
Thank God. Right, I'm going to go on mute now. There's a few of you in here.
Yeah, funny. We start showing Pinocchio's strings, and everyone freaks out.
You know, Lewis to sit right there. He'll tell you he's lied to you. So I don't even know why he does that. Nah, Lewis is all right. He just likes to tell these tall tales. You know how it is.
One thing I will say is that Lewis asked me to take down a video live on air, and if he's not heard of the Streisand effect, then he needs to look it up.
I guess I'll have to go watch that video is what you're saying, huh?
Karma is real.
Hey, there's been a lot of videos of people doing crazy stuff on Flat Earth. I promise you that. That's what makes this one of the not just the fact that it's flat, but the interested people and all the annex that go on is pretty cool. Just watching it's better than watching Laverne and Shirley. I can tell you that.
And it just makes us more intelligent and more sharper. I mean, this couldn't be the best. This is the best, sharpening tool ever.
If I had a penny for every time someone had made a video with my eyes rolled in the back of my head, I'd have £2.67.
Yeah, I can't.
So isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting, Nathan? That as soon as I joined, immediately good old Lewis left.
Yeah, I read that comment. Why is that?
Well, he's scared of me, and he was talking about you. Remember, he said, "Hey Nathan, could you take down that video where I look stupid, where I don't speak anything when I get asked for 93 million miles away? How do you know that the sun is that far away?" And so I mirrored your video, and then he was talking about me. He was like, because you make your video and other people are taking it out of context, and you taking what out of context? It's unedited. You were silent for 1 minute playing with a fidget spinner as your answer. That's your answer. Hey, Glowpad, how far away? How do you know that the sun is 93 million miles away? Silence, and actually, not only a silence, but he actually gave an "I don't know" head signal. He said, "I don't know." He goes, "I don't know." You saw that, Nathan.
Thank God his camera was captured.
How do you know the sun's bigger than the moon? How about that?
I don't know. I never claimed that.
I don't know. Lewis says that.
Okay. So it was just amazing watching this, listening to his silence and watching him play with a fidget spinner. And now he's asking Nathan to take it off his channel, and I'm so happy he said no. So now Nathan is currently on my top 10 favorite list of. That was just that was funny. That was priceless.
Yeah, we owe a lot to Nathan. He's the only one given an objective platform.
It's refreshing. I've been paying attention, and just like I have when Nathan was first doing his Beyond the Fourth Wall, and yeah, it's nice.
Hey Nathan, when are you gonna Nathan, when are you gonna get Mark Sargent on here? I guess he didn't hear me.
We can
He's
let
taking
him
a dump or something.
stay in silence.
Has Mark Sargent ever been on any of these debates yet?
Oh, we
Sorry,
don't want
I'm
him.
tangled up with my kids. Sorry, I just didn't want you to hear me telling her off. Sorry. No, Mark's not been on any of these debate shows.
All right, he needs to come on. He needs at least come in here and throw his weight around a little bit one night.
Nah, he can stay in his platform. We don't want him here.
Oh, Mark! One thing about Mark Sargent, he's never come off his story. You can't find any flaws in his story. He's had the same story the whole time. He's what's the good thing about him? He doesn't flip flop. That's one thing about it. That's why it's hard to talk about him. Nathan know that. Nathan.
It seems like people like Sargent and Skiba and a lot of others. I'm not saying Sargent changed anything, but Skiba seems to have kind of stalled out and kind of sputtered out instead stagnant.
Well, he lives up there in Denton. It's going to be hard to convert to, the Bible Belt down here. It's not going to be but this is going to be a hard job to get all these people to start believing what the truth is. You know that.
Yeah, no doubt.
He's up there in Denton. I guess I don't even know if he's I don't even know if he's really preaching flat Earth in his own church. I'm not sure if he's doing that or not.
One thing I do know is Mark reached.
I would definitely say he's not. I would assume that he's not.
So Mark reached millions of Brits talking about flat Earth, and it was for all the critics that say he did this good a job, bad a job, whatever. The reality is that he was in front of millions of people talking about flat Earth, and if he'd have just jumped down the neck of the astronaut, all that would have happened is no more flat earthers would have ever gone on mainstream TV. So I didn't really listen to any of the criticisms, but people told me about the videos that were made about Mark after going on Good Morning Britain, and I got in touch with him and said, tough gig, you did really well.
Yeah, can't argue that. What did anyone watch Rob Skiba's NBC Nighttime or whatever that
I
was?
saw that.
How was
I
it?
saw it. He did a really actually. If you watch his defense, he's very careful of not to fall in any like assumption traps, and he actually is a very well done interview.
Okay, all right. Well, fuck it. You know, or sorry. Screw it.
Yeah, you watch the full thing, not some highlights, and I
You've not been on
did like
before,
most of it.
so
He just clings onto
first
the ice
warning:
wall.
no swearing, please.
Yeah, my bad, Nathan.
But yeah, if you watch the whole thing, it actually is he does a really good job. But I think at some point he pushes the ice walls, and I find people that do that to be disingenuous because there's no evidence that there's an all-encompassing ice wall.
This is the problem, Sniper, in the first place. I'd say, how you doing, since Nathan wouldn't sort of re-welcome me. I think it must be because of the foul language I used the last time. So welcome, Nathan. Thanks for joining us.
As it's a new hangout, I suppose technically I'll make an exception, Pete. Please don't swear.
Okay. Hi, Eleanor. Leave Eleanor alone. How you doing? Yeah. Let me just comment on what Sniper said there. See, this is the problem. If the narrative has been set and led from the get-go, then that presents a problem, doesn't it? In a general sense, we're just here discussing it, and I think the narrative has been set from the get-go. And if you'll notice about the Flat Earth International Conference, the Bible got its chance to stamp itself all over Flat Earth. And the way I see it, well, it can go a few ways, but here we go again with the age-old science versus religious battle. And the thing is, the masses will be swayed towards one side. Now more than ever, religion has been made to look bad, earth-wide pretty much. But in terms of technology, everyone has the latest TV, everyone has the latest computer, laptop. We're here now. Look, we wouldn't be here. Many times the ball earthers tell us we wouldn't be here in technological sense, only for all of these great minds that developed the heliocentric model or whatever, you know what I mean? So yeah, I can see it in that sense, being that that age-old battle represented to the public, and again another divide and conquer potential strategy.
Yeah, Pete, I completely agree, because when I noticed when Flat Earth blew up, all these people promoting Flat Earth all were fitting paradigms that the globe model fits. Oh, we're trapped in here in a dome. We're trapped in here in ice walls. Don't you ever go out exploring? We're all stuck here. And it was like, oh, that fits the exact same paradigm of the globe. How convenient.
So are there any ballers on the panel?
Yeah, curve water here.
He's got to be Rick Quato that he don't get beat up this early in the round.
Oh, he can't. Imagine that. Four flat earthers versus one baller here, and that would not last.
I was just getting ready to roll out and check back later and see if anybody was talking flat earth. You guys want to talk about everything else?
The one
we were talking.
It's all connected, Curve. It's all connected.
Bores
That
me
means
to death.
we must talk about everything else if it's all
If
interconnected.
the earth isn't flat, you've got nothing to connect it to, do you?
And what if it is?
The whole entire system is based on fraud.
It's not.
From our
Why don't
world,
you
from our money, to our government, to everything. It's all fraud.
I'll check that.
Tell him how it
Nobody
is.
wants to talk flat earth.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you a question? Oh, he's gone. Oh, that's strange. I was just going to ask him a necessary question. Oh, well.
I must be like a globe earth kryptonite or something, because as soon as I join the panel, Lewis leaves, and then as soon as I start talking, I ask who the ballers are. That guy leaves. It's very interesting how the subgenius joins, and all these globers just want to leave right away. Very interesting.
Sorry to interrupt. We've been joined by Will. Very pleased to have you here, Will.
Hey, how y'all doing out there?
Very well, thank you, Will. Good to see you. Will,
Doing well.
room. Get quiet, but I'll turn you up.
That's Vlad.
We talk about that Vlad. Let's talk about flat Earth. I heard y'all be talking about the flat Earth up in here.
That's Vlad. I guarantee it.
That's Issa.
I heard y'all.
That's
be talking
Issa.
about that
Am I right?
I could see.
Yeah, it is.
I could clearly see from Long Island because I was driving a truck over there, and you could see the Eiffel Tower from Long.
You're an actor, Will.
Now he's a flat earther.
Is this a bad impression debate?
I ain't no flat earther now. I tell you, I've been on a plane.
You see the curve like Lewis did at 30,000 feet. We know about it.
Yes, sir, I did. Saw that curvature, pretty nice and round. Just like my good old lady behind. I tell you, boy, you can see that little curvature. You just got to get high enough. Woo!
Sorry, Sniper, I
think
muted
your
you. I
old
didn't
lady's
realise
behind
you were
so
going to talk.
that round.
Can we get off the mimics?
She talking about mimicking. What you mimicking? What you mimicking being a smart guy? What you one of them flat earthers?
No, we don't. I don't claim to know the shape.
One of those newfangled flat earthers.
What you one of
We're
them?
just debunking-
What you
we're
one of
just
them? Oh,
debunking
what you
current
one of them?
models.
Mark Sargent? What you from England? What you seen all them videos?
I've seen
all
them
videos?
Mark
I see
Sargent
y'all
videos.
people trying to come out of the woodwork like y'all was flat earthers before. You know, the good Lord had a good book that said it was flat earth, but you know what? I don't know what to believe anymore, boys.
Your donkey laugh gave you away.
Search flat Earth clues. That's what you got to do.
You put I said to the end of Will, you got Willis. What you talking about, Willis? Well, it doesn't make a pleasant change because I've always commented how any ball earthers, they're sort of a tag team. Whereas each flat earther I've come across anyway just acts as an individual. You don't look to others for support or help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm an independent flat earther. That's right. That's what all the flat earthers need to do. Just vote independent. Don't vote any Republicans or Democrats.
That's not true at all. I don't know if that's true for me.
It's time for a third party.
In general, Nathan. In general.
I get accused of being a part of a
Maybe
group
flat
called...
Earth independence could make a difference. We got 1 million of us out there.
I get accused of being part of a group called the Potatoes, and we offer each other loads of support.
You're breaking up for me, Nathan, anyway, but it might just be the reaction.
Hello?
Or you're saying you're breaking up. You're very low. Very low.
It's free or whatever his name.
Yeah, it's Sniper. You've got loads of background noise, Sniper. If you can try and stay on mute if you're not talking.
No, can't hear Nathan. Everyone else is fine.
I got a lot of static on my end.
You're good, David. You're coming. Am I coming through okay to you, David?
Right, Sniper.
Yes.
I've muted him. I was just saying, the people accuse us, the Potatoes, of being some sort of nefarious organisation, and in fact we're just a group of friends that talk to each other regularly and offer each other support. So before, I know, looks like we are getting sniped, or that's probably just Truth Seeker losing his bad connection. Been joined by Epistemology for Truth. Thank God we've got a Glober. I was just going to say, we offer each other lots of support. We get criticised because we're a group of friends, but that's the reality. So it's not all for one. But, you know,
Well,
there we go.
There's a more involved story than that, Nathan, in terms of friendships, right? Because we're all aware of the public nature of the disagreements between lots of, if you want to call them, leading figures, I guess, in Flat Earth. And yeah, as you know, I'm of the clear mind that there is a greater story in play here and greater interconnections. That will play out in time. Mark Sargent, this is what I've always said, the same thing. Mark Sargent Prepper is the biggest clue you need, and from there you can take it in a couple of different ways, as I see it. But yeah.
And if it was just you and I, Pete, I'd probably carry on the conversation. But we do have epistemology here, so we can definitely get a flat Earth conversation going rather than a flat Earth social dynamic question.
The ballers were scared of him. The flat Earth subgenius. What happened to him?
He'll probably be back for you, I'm sure, on hearing your.
Did he get sniped? Because it looks like some people got sniped when I'm looking through the chat log.
There's definitely a sniper around. It's all part of the fun.
Yeah. There's still no way around that, right?
Well, the way around it is to do it like I'm doing it, but it just means that if it does end up at the point where I have to restart another hangout, it takes 2 or 3 minutes. It's no big deal. And if one of the shows
I'm looking at the log. He was sniped out. He can't come back in here now.
Annoying. But yeah, it's just one of those. It just means I have to take a couple of minutes to start a new show, and I had to do it several times on one of the shows. And someone was saying, "Oh no, do you feel like you're having your show taken over?" And I was like, "No, this is the show. This is part of Flat Earth, and I want to show that. If it's just the case that you spend an entire show dealing with snipers, then that's the show on that day. That's just the way it is."
Yeah. And as Dan says, it's very interesting. He seems to relate when he is on certain hangouts that you get a lot of sniping. So Lou is leaving. I don't know any of that story, but of course Curved left as well. When they're faced with 2 or 3 people who are pretty sure about where they're coming from at a basic level, They can't stand up to scrutiny. Simple as that. That's why they must act.
I've seen curved, and I've seen both curved and Lewis go up against a whole group of flat earthers before.
Man, Lewis doesn't count. Don't even try to use that Lewis as counting. I'm glad he's on your baller
Lewis
team.
Lewis used to go on Dred's Hangout, which was like,
Yeah,
you know what Dred's Hangout was like. I mean, that was just all flat earthers in there just ridiculing. So
Just about to compliment
Lewis
him,
right
and there
there.
he is. I was about to say Lewis is a good guy. He can
I
hold
find
his
it
own.
particularly rich that you say, "Oh, us flat earthers, we're all on our own." That's hilarious. But because ballers have general good manners in conversation, we don't try and talk over each other. And
You got kicked out the other night for cussing,
hilarious.
Lewis. You got kicked out.
I know. I got kicked out the other night, David. Thank
Well,
you
you
for reminding me. I already knew that.
All right, then.
I'm getting increasingly frustrated over time with the incompetence and lack of ability to have a normal discussion that I encounter when I come on the flat Earth. It's really frustrating.
Let me start off a normal conversation because
no. There is no normal conversation. I just came on to defend myself like one time, and that's it. There's nothing I have. There's nothing I have here.
That's right. You can't. The big tall tales don't work around here, Lewis. That's why
They're not big tall tales. You're an idiot. Do you understand?
I understand.
It's very important to me that you understand my point of view on this. Okay, they're not tall tales.
Your point of view is that you believe what somebody else told you, and the most flat earthers say prove it to me.
It's very important, David, that you understand that this is my real opinion about the world that I came to myself. It's very important that you understand that.
I understand that.
Good.
It's just like I don't know. You learn from your mistakes, Lewis. People learn from their mistakes. That's the way it works. You don't want to hear it.
Hubris.
If they've lost their connection or been sniped, I think we've got somebody in the back chat that's sniping people out that's not actually on the show because there's just people dropping left and right.
I think he left purposefully there, Nathan. He made it clear he wasn't staying long. He just wanted to make something clear. I thought, anyway. That was the impression.
Well, I do want to defend Lewis. Hold on a second, David.
Lewis, but go ahead.
I was going to say Lewis is a good guy, and he does hold his own amongst a lot of crap from a lot of flat earthers, and I want to give him credit where credit's due. He's a good guy, and the fact that he gets annoyed, that's understandable and natural.
Well, these aren't called flat earth debates for nothing, right, Nathan?
At what point do you decide that Lewis is playing a part? It's going to be later if it's not sooner, right? And it's
not being about playing a part. That's what we're talking about here, about flat earthers being independent thinkers. Okay, we think for ourselves. We decide on things ourselves by common sense, mainly. Okay,
that's what I'm saying, David. And in a sense, Lewis is helping any honest investigator to sort of ask these difficult questions. But he himself, you have to make that decision, right? And then you, with that knowledge, if you will, you'll move forward in a different manner, right?
He's not going to change his mind about stuff, but that's all right. And neither am I. But when it comes to these tall tales, so that's what we're arguing about, I guess.
But you have changed your mind, David. That's the point about. Well, I don't know you, but in general, that's the point about you coming to this point, flat Earth realization. You've been willing to overturn everything that you've ever been taught, right?
No, it's not that. I learned. Most people learn from their mistakes and by doing things. It's like the harder you work, the more you learn. And that's what a lot of these young people don't know today. That you got to get out there and learn from stuff that you've done. Day by day, and if you don't get those experiences,
sorry to interrupt, David. Can I just introduce and your guest? We've got Pete with us. How you doing, Pete Townsend?
Hello, Nathan. I like Mark Sargent. He's my favorite flat earther. He makes very good videos. And because of steer.
This is Vlad now.
It's all very.
Somebody he popped somebody there.
I hope Eleanor is laughing.
I guess I will be next here, Nathan. You one of the two.
Oh gosh. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Again, it's all part of it, right?
Mark Sargent's been around since when he only had 50 people watch his first video. I saw it happen. He couldn't even when he did his clues to begin with. He was a rookie at all this stuff. He's gotten pretty good at it, but he was still a rookie. And I have no reason to think that Mark Sargent is nefarious and trying to do something, you know, to make Flat Earth look bad. I hadn't seen it myself, so.
Well, in the GMTV interview, did you see Mark flashing the dodo? Indeed, he did. The dodo made it onto national television. If you notice the frisbee he has,
even if Mark Sargent is a Mason, it doesn't matter. He's been pushing the flat Earth, and that's what this is about: is getting people to realize that they don't live on a spinning ball flying through infinite space. That's what these debates are about.
I meant literally, David. He brought the little frisbee on with the flat Earth map on it. But if you hold that so that Australia is on the bottom, well, a dodo pops out at you once you see it or once you recognize it.
And we've had that's what people see. I don't understand why flat earthers are worried about a map from 1890 when you're living in 2018 and you don't even have a map of the world yourself if you're a baller. These people believe in something, and they don't even have a map to show them how everything works. I mean, there's not one world map that all these people believe when they go on the internet and they put map of the world.
Oh yeah.
There's not even a map that even shows the Earth the way it should be. I mean,
neither flat nor ball Earth can offer that.
Exactly.
And that's for sure. And once you sort of recognize that, yeah, well, where do you go from there? You don't need one anyway in the first place, do you? I mean, to recognize that.
Well, once you figure that out as a baller, that you don't have a map and you don't know, then you can tell that the whole thing's been a lie. Okay, and then once you get to that point, you can figure out, well, if they lied about that, then maybe let's look at the other arguments of the flat Earth, like water's always level and stuff like that.
Well, let me tell you what I think. A few of the biggest problems with, especially the Gleason's map. Let's just talk about the flat Earth map again. If you rotate the Gleason's, David, then when Australia's at the bottom, then the dodo pops out at you. That's your first clue, right? And there's lots of other clues, but one of the big problems with the Gleason's map is the distance between Africa.
How about the map of the world where 10 countries will fit inside of Africa, and they show all of them relative. Right. Man, it's whatever. Go ahead.
It's completely skewed. But for me, anything to do with a spinning, careering ball is fantasy. It's out the window. So I don't get too involved when I'm asked to go into these thought experiments about boats dropping over the curvature, the horizon. You know.
The problem is this thing hadn't been proven one way or the other. You know, and there's not a way of proving this thing on the ground, or there hasn't been one to date where it gives 100% confirmation of this thing being flat. That's what has not been done. So even as a flat earther, I can admit to that we don't have 100% proof, and we don't have an exact map. But other than that, with all the other things that we look at, water always being level and stuff like that, we know it's flat. So.
Well, let me tell you my latest, what do you call it? And the ball Earth is the globe Earth is stumped, but the flat Earth is also stumped. I maintain that again. Once you get to the flat Earth, the dodo awaits, right? So there's a little treasure hunt, a trail to be followed that spans back hundreds of years. But let me just talk about the west coast of Africa and the east coast of Brazil. Right? This distance has given us 3,000 miles on Google Earth. Any sort of appropriate map, and that's accepted, right? So I was saying to myself, I know this is not the case, and I was saying to myself, how long would it take to fly from both those locations? So I looked at Liberia, and the main airport there's only one main airport, and Rio de Janeiro. Distance 3,000 miles. How long would you expect a flight to take, roughly? You know, maybe take into account a few stops or whatever. But how long would you expect if you were making that journey? The west coast of Africa to the east coast, the closest points, you know, between the two continents. How long would you expect that to take, David?
Well, whatever the time is, you know, whatever speed you're going, you know that. But.
Yeah. 500 miles an hour, say 3,000 miles, 6 hours, give or take an hour.
Right.
Right. So if you can look us up, verify for yourself. And just by the way, on my own Dodo map, Dodo Earth map, I made an estimation beforehand, and I came up with a time. And so you say 6 or 7 hours. I came up with a time estimating 18 hours, and it turns out. that it's 19.5 hours with one stop, and that's through Morocco, which again makes no sense on the globe Earth or the Gleason's map. But on the
Hope you are all enjoying the debate so far. We have approximately 30 minutes left on this live stream, so I'm going to run through my links and encourage hopefully a few globeheads to join the show. If you are new to the show, or you're one of the 50% of the people watching this that have not subscribed already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon so you can keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live, so chuck us a couple of bucks in there if you're enjoying the show. And most importantly, if you would like to join the debate, although it's a bit of a snipey one in this instance, simply click the link on the info box below this video, but be sure to mute the page you are currently watching before you do so. If you do join the hangout, there are a couple of rules. Number one, please do not swear. If you do, you will be ejected. And number two, if you are ejected, please do not try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You will be warmly welcome back on the next stream. The current debate peak is 158 people watching live, and we've got about 140 odd people watching at the moment, so please share the show. If you've done so already, a massive huge thank you to you, as I really am grateful for all of the people who do share this live stream, as it encourages more live audience members, which may encourage more live debaters. So thank you to all of the people who have shared the show. Once again, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate.
Continent of Native Americans living off the land, and that history that was from back then might have been erased, just like they burned all the mine stuff down there when they came here. But
that perfectly aligns with my thinking. And the dodo, this is where the dodo, you see, this sort of instinctual reaction for us to laugh at it, right? And I think this is all part of the play as well. Everything is reversed, you know. And but literally, the dodo is, as I said, if you rotate the Gleason's map, a dodo will pop out at you. Now, once you find out the dodo never existed, then you realize it's not coincidence that the Gleason's flat Earth map that's come to prominence and was given to us, it resembles a dodo. That's your starting point. That's not your ending point. That's your starting point. But
no, the starting point is the globe map. Okay, that's where it all starts at. When you have every child and every grown human being in this world going on Google and punching up map of the world, and every single map that they look at in images is wrong, then that's where it started at. You know, just because some flat earthers figured out the Earth's flat because water's always level, and found a map from 1890 where a man actually mapped the world to his best of his knowledge without engines. Okay, you got to understand that.
Well, I'm kind of saying that there's a different game in play. And what I was going to say about the dodo, the reason it was said to be discovered in 1598. Now, if it didn't exist, then something happened to change the face of the Earth. So the dodo represents the encoded flat Earth face of the Earth, post inundation. So that's why I think history, all our history, goes back to only 419 years. It'll be 420 years next year. And indeed, there are intricate connections between the dodo bird and 420 or cannabis, right? So all of these things connect in a greater sense. But that's what I'm saying. The map has been given to us in pieces, right? The flat Earth map. So it's up to us to put together the pieces. And I know that sounds sort of fantastical in one sense, but there's definitely a coherency to it. And it turns out that Paul of the Beatles is the dodo. And all of that connects and relates. But the point being, that that's what we're looking for as well, isn't it? That's the ultimate search. We need the people to wake up, start asking questions for themselves. But yeah, then in order to satisfy our own curiosity, we need an accurate representation of the place we live. So I think that has been put out there in a few different pieces, and it's up to us to put the pieces together.
But just think about if the Earth's really, you know, from Dallas, you could go 100,000 miles in any direction. I mean, and there was more continents. I mean, that would be pretty cool. But most of us would never get to go anywhere. We'd probably be stuck just like we are now. So.
Well, I think fundamentally everything is going to be completely different, and we're seeing a reconstruction in one sense. Our true history has been hidden from us, and I think especially
I believe
since
that.
September 11th. You know, just a sort of information age has kicked off, and I think the timing is appropriate. And yeah, I think we'll be ready more so anyway than we would have been like 20, 50 years ago for the truth about our true origin and our true history.
Hopefully it doesn't take 50 years. That's the problem.
Next year is what I say, man. I think this is what
2020. Everybody's gonna know about it, huh? Hindsight's 2020, huh?
No,
That'd be good. That'd be good.
2018, David. This is what I'm saying. It's 420 years from the dodo's discovery, 1598 to 2018. And this is intimate, and intricate connections I have found between the two. And I think what's happening is the Earth. We're in a broken system now, right? And it's in a state of repair. And just like Back to the Future, you know, and 88. These are all significant numbers and significant sort of movies, and you know they're telling a different story. I think that's what we're getting back to a state, a more advanced state. So the Earth is in a state of repair. And I say 2018, 420 years after the discovery of the dodo, will be the year for relaunch, or year one. That's my thinking on it.
That's a good idea, I guess.
Well, there's more to that, but the only point I wanted to make ultimately was that you know, that distance, that's incredible, David. You don't spend 19 hours for a 6-hour plane ride, right? Unless there's a different reason. And
that's what I've been saying. We don't even have a map. I don't know what it's going to take to get a map. It's just going to be almost impossible to do it unless you went. If you had 186 people in 186 different countries and they had a scale map like you could buy in the United States. See, we have a scale map here.
We've been joined by Jeremy, aka Gem Panda. How you doing, Gem?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Very well. Good to have you here.
Thank you. Hey, you guys carry on. Don't let me interrupt. Say some mad shit that I can argue with.
I don't know. We were talking about Mark Sargent, then we went off on dodos, but that's all right.
Well, Mark Sargent on his GMTV interview, he flashed that's what I started talking about. That he flashed the dodo, and as I said, Mark Sargent was a sergeant prepper, right?
Hold on, where did he flash the dodo?
With the frisbee, he had the blue dodo, the blue flat earth.
I see what you mean.
And he flashed the dodo, and
well, just like we.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've been saying it for months now. The big clues here are Mark Sargent. The only thing he produced beforehand was a prepper's guide. So you have Mark Sargent prepper. Immediately you think of Sergeant Pepper. You have Patricia, your magical mystery tour. David Weiss, Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, all pointing us to the same thing. As I said, these are your clues at the start.
They're not the same.
Let me ask you this question: Why would they?
I'm just saying, if you miss them, then you go down a different path. That's what I'm saying.
I don't see where you get this just because Mark Sargent's out there pushing flat Earth. I mean,
the truth of the flat Earth is always known. Flat Earth is always known flat.
The one thing about people that figure out the Earth is flat, most of them have a little bit of common sense. We're not dealing with the average dummy here. Generally, most of these people think for themselves. That's what the whole point of this is.
Yeah. That's why Jeremy does what he does. That's why I'm taking it. Anyway, Curved Water does what he does, and Lewis does what he does.
They're closed-minded. Both of them are closed-minded. Lewis is closed-minded. Curve's closed-minded. You couldn't convince them.
They're not stupid.
I just like to an alternative view.
Of course,
especially when you guys are so incorrect so often.
Well, anybody who's actually complaining about gish galloping and not using full context, they're clearly not objective. It's broad as daylight.
But the character isn't the man, you see. That's the thing about Lewis. Lewis can swear on his life when he's playing the role of the character, but that's what the role requires, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of facades going on in this debate, and they need to be unmasked.
But the one thing is, only for you, Jeremy, I would say this, I mean, say for everyone, I think in one sense we are where we are now, right? Because it was always sort of written that way, but only for the likes of people arguing the point or, constantly sort of pushing you on different issues. I certainly wouldn't have made progress in my own thinking, or it would have been a much more retarded rate, I think, a slower rate.
Oh, that's very progressive of you to think that.
No, absolutely, man. So that's why I appreciate, in one sense. I mean, it's look. I've said it before, Jeremy. You're either enemies to mankind, or else there's a greater game going on, and you're engaged in a nobler lie. It's one or the other.
Well, what I've said, and I've said this before, is, and I think this is where Flat Earth sets itself aside from other communities, other things going on YouTube and the internet, is that, you know, there are people, for instance, like the other kin, who think they're, you know, half mythical beings or beasts or whatever, but they don't go around, you know, they might think they're half cat, and, you know, there might be a girl out there that says a doctor told her that her DNA was half cat, but they're not telling everyone else that they should think their DNA is half cat. And they're not saying all the doctors who haven't told you about DNA being half cat are wrong or are lying to you. And I think this is what Flat Earth does, is it doesn't just say, here's a thing that you might want to believe. It says, here's the thing you might want to believe, and everyone else is wrong and a liar and
no, not at
a whole
all.
load of other
It's
stuff
basically just
alongside.
exposing,
My
it just
position,
exposes
Jeremy.
scientism for what scientism is. It's a blind faith in a textbook, no different than any other dogmatic religion.
Yeah. I've come to this.
I just think that's nonsense. I think when people say that, you're not using any definition of religion that anyone would use who normally speaks the English language.
Can you define scientism or tell me the difference?
Well, no, you define religion. You define religion. How is the word religion normally understood in our language?
Belief in God is what a religion is.
There's no difference between the guy that opens up the Earth Science book and it's teaching him about spinning balls in space and that we all came from monkeys, yada, yada, yada.
Doesn't teach anyone that they live on a spinning ball. Doesn't teach anyone that they came from monkeys. Those are phrases.
As somebody who's come through 4 years of geology schooling.
I'm still talking. Those are phrases that are part of the Flat Earth meme. The spinning ball one. The spinning ball one is made up by Eric Dubay, and I don't know the origin of the other one, but that's all that. We came from monkeys is probably Kent Hovind or someone like that. No one says that we came from monkeys.
The 4 years of geology schooling I got, no, they were pushing evolution. They were pushing the idea that we slowly evolved from apes.
No, they
liquid
really
magma that somehow isn't evaporating into
Well,
a gas.
you know, the idea of education is that you learn facts, you know, and those are facts.
The fact is you can't. The fact is you. Let me say something. You want to talk about facts. The fact is you can't prove you live on a spinning ball, but you like to sit on here and tell everybody that we do.
I can.
So where's your facts? We live on a spinning ball. Ding ding, knockout.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, he doesn't have any. His facts are blind faith indoctrination.
Well, there's lots of evidence that we live on a spinning ball. Everything from
lots of indoctrinations. I agree.
Pictures and video from space, geodetic surveying, what we observe in the sky in terms of the apparent motion of the stars, the declination of Polaris. All of these things tell us that we live on a sphere. I do have proof.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys have? You've got a few shots of a few horizons where you won't take refraction into account, or you don't really know the height of the observer, or you've done the maths wrong.
We got swimming pools and swimming pools full of water, sir. And they're all level and they're all flat.
Oh well, how have you determined that?
I build swimming pools, and I actually see the curve. When they build the swimming pools, it curves. Yeah, that's about it.
All I'm saying to you is, how have you determined that the swimming pool is what did you say, flat?
Water's always level, man.
Well,
how do you know that?
Let's check it, David. Come on now, let's get that fishing line out and check flat water.
That's what we got to do. That's it.
We do. We do got to do
that. Like to argue about. You can't argue about water always being level.
We know water is basically level.
How do you know it's level? That's what I want to know.
I can look at it and tell you that.
So if it was curving around a sphere, how curved would it be, and would you be able to see that curve?
Of course.
What do you mean, of
That's
course?
the whole. Of course.
How have you determined that?
Yeah.
How have you determined that you would be able to see the curve?
He drives a truck. He's a geodetic truck driver, Jim.
That's right. All I want to know is when do I start riding upside down? We'll go ahead and say it in this debate also.
Dude, I'm not sure you haven't been riding upside down, to be honest with you.
If you're ever riding upside down, you should definitely contact the emergency services.
Do you really believe people are walking upside down on the other side of the ball? Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that. That isn't.
You don't believe that?
No. You're trying to use the term.
And how can you say you live on a ball then?
Use it.
Hey,
That's just a sort of a childlike way of explaining.
What do you mean a childlike way of explaining it? Maybe that's what the problem here is. You can't even differentiate between childish thought and real thought.
It's Jared.
In your case, there doesn't seem to be a difference. That's my point.
There's childish, there's childlike, right? There's childish and childlike. And Eleanor here is just, coming into her own. You're not going to. I never treated my child like a dumb child, a dumb instrument or anything, And all the most difficult questions to answer are the childlike questions, right?
You might not like a child to understand.
Yes, by the time we reach adulthood, you'd have done the asking of those questions and considered the answers, shouldn't we? We shouldn't still be asking them when we're David's age, as if we're. I mean, come on.
Can I just get some clarity? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm a bit confused now, and it's mainly because of you, Jeremy. You're sort of suggesting that David's question's farcical because he's asking if you believe that people are antipode to you, but they are in your model. So I don't really understand.
But he didn't say
that's not the word he's using.
People walking upside down in Australia is what he said.
I mean, he didn't have the diction,
I take your point, Nathan. I think you're absolutely right, but he didn't say that. And if he wants to take the path of ridicule,
no one's gonna sit over here and act like I have a master's degree in something. Okay, I have a master's degree in life. That's what I have. Okay.
Hey, I got a question. If we have a really powerful telescope on the moon, will the people in Australia be upside down?
It depends on the orientation of the telescope.
That's why this story that's why you ballers keep losing these debates.
Now, do you understand that simple point, True Seeker? What is up and down is relative in the field of view, orientation of the scope, dude.
Yeah, your reference point's always relative, but I don't see any motion from my point of view.
Well, why would you?
Well, there's two ways to look at this. I wouldn't feel it because everything is not experiencing any deceleration or acceleration, therefore I can't perceive it. Or
12,000
or there's no motion.
And why should
Miles,
you feel it?
There would have to be a decline and an incline somewhere on the ball, okay?
There is. Every 69 miles, there's a 1 degree inclination declination of
that? We went through this last night.
Sun. Well, you guys, we're going to go through it until you get it.
Here, look, every 27 days, the moon changes its apparent size. So if it changes its apparent size, how are you relying on a 1 degree angle change?
What?
Every 27 days, the moon changes its apparent size, to our eyeballs. So how can you trust the 1 degree measurement?
Don't call the phases of. Are you talking about the phases of the moon or something different?
I'm talking about the size of the moon changes every 27 days to our eyeballs. How can you trust a 1 degree difference in something that's changing shape in apparent size of upwards of 10%?
We're not talking about 1 degree in apparent size, you knucklehead.
But what object are you measuring angles off of? The physical or the visual moon? Not physical, the visual moon?
What are you talking about? Nobody's talking about the moon.
You were getting in on it. So
you brought up the moon. You brought up the moon.
Okay. Planes don't even notice the curvature, man. How can you even come up with these ideas when a plane going 600, 1,000 miles an hour? Even today, it came out about the Concorde. They're fixing to bring it back out that goes 1,300 miles an hour faster than the speed of the sun. So what about that?
We've been joined by Mark Taylor. Really sorry to interrupt you guys. Can I just say a quick introduction to Mark? How you doing, Mark?
Yeah, okay, Nathan. I'm okay.
Welcome.
I'm just joining the conversation. That's all.
Good to
I
have
was
you
going to say, how
here.
convenient, David.
Yeah, Mark.
How convenient, David, because I reckon that the initial grounding of the Concorde was a faked affair as well, leading up to the time we're in now, you know. And now is a good time to have it back because evidence can be collected much more easily. So I hope that comes back soon. Let me just say, right?
Hold up, though, Pete. We see it crash. So you're saying the France crash was a fake then?
There's a lot of investigation going into that, Mark.
Well, I didn't ask that, did I? I asked you whether you
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
it's
It's
fake
all
or
a
not.
staged affair, man. It's all a staged.
I'd like you to name a significant news event that actually occurred, Pete.
Well, I
9/11.
Okay, well, not from direct experience, but I know somebody who was directly involved in, according to their testimony, in the tsunami in on Boxing Day. Remember that was 2003.
Yeah, I remember.
Indonesia, the Indonesian tsunami. I think that was 2004.
2004, maybe, right?
You sure we weren't a crisis actor, Pete?
But I do think the scale was exaggerated as well. But yeah,
I know the lead geomorphologist who studied the deposits of that tsunami.
Excellent. Give him my regards.
let me just say to David, right? Let me just say, because you're the best person to appreciate this. So let's say let's say you're in Ireland with me. The antipode of Ireland is New Zealand, right? So now you've traveled in your truck. We just take you, George. You've traveled many thousands of miles, many hundreds of thousands of miles. If I was to ask you to point to Australia, what way would you point? And you can just think about that yourself. I think there's only two more unnatural ways to point than obviously in a flat direction, a planar direction. And one is down at your feet. If we live in a ball, I would have to point right down at my feet to say Australia is down that way, right? And that's so counterintuitive. But there's only one more thing, more just obnoxious to my senses than that, is that's pointing upwards to Australia, which Lord Stephen Christ's model calls.
Southwest of Brazil, myself. Where's it at?
We've been joined
across
by
the way,
Huey. Sorry to interrupt. We've been joined by Huey. Just a quick hello to Huey. How you doing, Huey?
Hello, Nathan.
Very pleased to have you here. Good
Oh,
to see
Huey.
you.
What's up, Huey? Welcome. We've got a vision of you, Huey. I saw you with your glasses, man. You kind of look like your avatar. You probably didn't mean that, did you, man?
Sorry?
Didn't mean us to see you there.
No, I didn't. No, you got a sneak peek.
Okay.
So, well, now you can't say I've never shown my face, can you?
Well,
so does that make Huey credible now, then, Pete?
It has.
No, because he admitted it was an accident.
I mean, Hewitt's about to get fired for revealing the inside of the control room.
I'm confident that Huey's real.
When you say people put their camera on, they're more credible. When someone does, they're not more credible.
No, well,
that's logic.
Camera back
101.
on. That's why he
I
doesn't
say, judging by the dialogue, there is no more control room.
put his camera on for a little longer, like in a normal.
Do you think if someone's got their camera on, they can't lie to you?
I think it's more difficult.
Why
definitely.
is it? You lie all the time, Pete.
Yeah.
Well, who do I lie to?
What do you mean, who? All your 15 fans that watch you're droning on about the dodo.
I try not to lie.
And the Milky Way on the moon.
Right,
and if you save your come up, you can transport it up your spine.
Yeah,
that's pretty just straight off the bat there, Pete. How's that?
Well, they're my thoughts, Mark. So I could expand.
Well, they're lies, though, Pete, aren't they?
They're thoughts, right?
It's medically impossible for your sperm to travel up your spine, Pete.
Are you sure?
You have to know sure.
I think Mark might be a bit of a
Come on now.
He knows your material well.
Get back on the flat Earth over here.
Yeah, we were having a good discussion at the beginning of this, connecting the flat Earth.
True Seeker, I've listened to your discussions. They can never be declared as a good discussion.
Yeah.
I just wanted to come in to ask the flat earthers, what do you think of flat earthers that blatantly lie? How do you feel about them? Do you think they should be outcast, or do you think you should turn another cheek because they're flat earthers? They get a pass. What do you think? Because you're always moaning.
No, we're trying to get you to understand that you don't have a map, so you don't have a model, so you're
I'm not talking about that, David. I'm talking about flat earthers lying. Like, there's a flat earther now who's got a video up.
One claim?
There's a flat earther now who's got a video up claiming that he's got the ISS transiting the moon yesterday. Now, if you look on the moon app, you'll see that the moon wasn't a full moon yesterday, but in his video, it is a full moon. So he's blatantly lied, and he's trying to claim out that he's got that from Blackpool in the UK. Now that's a blatant lie. So
He's probably a baller agent, is what he
sorry,
is.
guys.
He's
so what should happen to him?
Hold on. Mark, can you just tell us
You
who?
ever hear of controlled opposition?
Who?
Randy Rant. Go check his latest video on his channel. He's got a video up. He's claiming to captured the ISS transiting the moon 11:30 something yesterday evening. The ISS was nowhere near transiting the moon, and the moon wasn't full yesterday. It was 84%. So he's blatantly lying.
Will you bet him that £1,000?
Could be controlled opposition.
He's blatantly lying. But you lot don't say nothing to him.
That £1,000.
You lot will say nothing to him because it's okay for you lot to lie, but you're the ones that say that everyone else is lying.
He's lying.
It's just so hypocritical.
If
we don't have to listen to the liars.
Well, I have just called him out for it, Pete.
That's bad. Will you bet him that £1,000, Mark?
We don't need to give them more credibility than they deserve.
Pardon?
I said, will you?
Well, I bet him
So there is about 5 minutes left on this feed, just so you know. If you did want to join to do any last-minute trolling, this is probably your last opportunity. I will come back and thank the audience one last time for being here.
Go check the moon out, Pete. See what the moon. Have a look out your window and see if your moon's full moon.
Likely a controlled opposition
It wasn't
video.
a full moon. It was a full moon at the weekend, Pete. It wasn't a full moon yesterday.
But I'd like you to say, you are after calling somebody a liar now, but I'd like you to take up that bet and see if Ranty will
bet.
See if Ranty will take
Why
up
would I
that
want to bet? Why would I want to bet? Because you just liars. You're all deceitful. I'd have bet with Anthony, and he changed the bet. He changed the bet and made up stupid rules, Pete. So I'm not going to bet with any of them because you're all dishonest, Pete.
But I'm pretty sure that Ranty will take up that £1,000 bet. Will you take up the £1,000 bet that he's not, or he is a liar and he has fabricated the footage?
Yes.
Yes. You would take up that bet on this panel saying we live on a spinning ball
unless you're saying it was a full moon yesterday, Pete. Is that what you're saying then?
No, I'm not taking the bet.
Well, how can it be a full moon yesterday, Pete, when it's not full moon tonight? It's 84%.
Yeah, Mark, then you have a good case on the face of it, right? So let's.
Well, but you're not Ranty, though, are you, Pete?
Yeah, but let's present the bet to Ranty, and if he's telling the truth, then I'm sure he'll jump at the chance to prove himself. Or to win.
Well, how's he going to prove it, Pete?
Well, you can get it. Well, let that up to him, right?
He can prove that video about as much as you can prove we live on a spinning ball, okay?
Well, no, exactly, David. So you've admitted then that flat earthers lie.
Yeah,
Well done,
that
David.
doesn't sound right.
Yeah, well, I know some flat earth agents.
That's a big admission from you, David, to admit that one of your camp lies.
I know a lot of flat earth agents out there. Awake Souls and Defense Skeptics are two agents that are working for the government right now. I guarantee that.
Your dog looks like a government dog, David. I've seen you in the video. That dog looks like a government dog.
I remember when you started on this thing, you were working with the Office of Information Awareness. I remember that.
Who was? I was.
Yeah, you and all your buddies over there talking that bull crap, so I didn't want to hear it.
That's an American organization.
He's an internet hobbyist. He's just an internet hobbyist doing this every day out of his free time and his goodwill. Come on, what's unbelievable about that?
And his love for knowledge and his fellow man, right?
And he's
I come to expose you. I come to expose the flat earth lies.
Hey, Mark, what time was that? Mark, do you remember what time that thing was?
Can you expose your map for us, please, of the world? Let's see expose that.
The ISS deal. Do you remember what time did you say that was?
Well, he's claiming that he's at 11:30 something.
Last night.
Yeah, last night. Yeah.
Last night, December 6th, 11:30 p.m.
Cloudy in Dallas.
And which way was he looking? Do you know? Do you have any of those details?
No, he just said he was captured from Blackpool.
What was his goal with it, Mark? Why? Because normally,
20 seconds left.
You know, he would deny the existence of the ISS.
Yeah, we'll see what it is. He went on Red's Hangout a couple of days ago. I don't know if you see it. Red Twitter.
I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, I knew it was on.
Yeah, he went on there and Red showed him his transit of ISS of the Sun and the Moon. So obviously, he felt a little bit left out.
And with that, I'm going to say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to our live audience for joining us for this debate. And of course, a massive thank you also to all of the panel members for putting up with being sniped and for making this debate possible. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.